Now,
Now,
hello.
hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Campfires and Catholes. I
Welcome
am your
back.
host, Brian from Carlson Adventures. My co host sitting over here to my whatever side it is on tonight. What side are you on? My,
I'm on
yeah,
your
you're on my left.
yeah, I'm on your left.
So, Chris, that hiking guy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? Welcome back from your little adventure.
My little venture, my little walk in the woods.
Little walk, little stroll.
It's good to be back finally, and you got your tummy issues all taken care of. So,
I did. I'm now no longer wearing the adult diapers, so it's great.
that's perfect. So who we got in this chat already? Look at Kill Quest.
What's
First
up,
one here.
kill kids?
Tanya, Tony. So it looks like the normal gang, the usual suspects will be here. I can't talk as
Yeah,
always, so
they'll be
nothing has
they'll be
improved there.
they'll be rolling in.
Oh yeah, nothing has improved. Lambo, BC is back.
What's up,
That's right,
Robbie?
buddy.
Robbie's
So
been
yeah,
sending me Robbie's been sending me videos from he has like this really fancy um treadmill that has a screen on it that he can like do jogs in the Swiss Alps, and he's sending me these videos, and I'm like that's incredible. I mean, it's a very expensive treadmill, but he's like, check this out. I'm in running behind this guy in the Alps. I'm like, that is so cool.
that's why they call him Lambo. He's got all that money, right?
That's
And
right.
that the rumor he drives a Lambo.
Lamborghini.
That's what I heard, anyways. So yeah, I'm back. It's good to be back. We had a little hiatus. I had a little adventure, my second section hike of the Appalachian Trail this year, and it was absolute blast. If you guys haven't seen any of the postings yet, I've got the day one and day two out. So hey, Jeremy, he's rolling
What's
in
up?
here.
What's up,
But yeah, I
J Dog?
think I've got the first 4 or 5 days edited now. I've got 2 more days to go. But thanks, Tanya. I'm glad I made it back too. But it was quite the adventure. I really can't wait to share the rest of them with you guys. It's hard to keep it on a schedule and like a just a release schedule, not just throw it all out there because I had such a great time. And some of the people I met, sites I saw, the days I pulled were some of the best days, some of the longest hikes. One day I did do my actual personal best longest hike at 23.6 miles. So that's an accomplishment I'm pretty proud of, especially
Yeah.
on the North Carolina section. It's a lot harder this year, a lot steeper than Georgia. And my first day there, coming out of Dix Creek, it was just so steep and so hard. And I thought, this is just harder than it was last year, or I'm not in the as good of shape as I thought I was because I've really trained for 10 months to
You
stay
really
in
did.
shape.
I have to
To,
give it to you. You've trained harder than I've trained for anything except a pie eating contest.
right. So, I mean,
Yeah.
going into it, I felt strong. My cardio was good. I had good leg strength. And I got to the first shelter that night and I was talking to people. I was like, man, this section today just kicked my butt. They're like, and everybody that had started and done all of Georgia, they're like, oh, yeah, this is the hardest part we've had so far, too. I'm like, okay. So then I'm not crazy. This is just harder than anything I did last year.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening or watching this ever done the Knobstone, I mean, a lot of the climbs were like the super steep Knobstone, climbs, but just for miles.
What did
So
we just say earlier when we were talking that this section is like the knobstone, but for men?
yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
is. Women too. Don't discriminate, Chris.
Well,
There's
yeah,
plenty of
for
women out there.
for
I got
for
I
anything
got
in
passed
between.
by I got passed by a few women just trucking up the hills. I'm like, you go. You're 20 years younger than me,
Here we go,
you know.
girl.
But yeah, it was literally a lot of climbing. Coming up Albert Mountain was some rock scrambling, and on top of the rocks, it was wet and frozen with ice. I had temperatures waking up in the mornings at 12, and the last day on trail, it got all the way up to 82. So I had the whole gamut
Man.
of temperatures,
So you were
rain.
freezing and you had swass.
Oh yeah, I mean, I came back and I was sunburned on the back of my neck and my arms from the last 2 days because it was
Gee,
75 and then 81. So
I bet you
yeah,
were white.
oh yeah, I was.
I
I got
bet
I
you
got
were.
one I got one shower in that 7 day period. I had
Dude,
one.
you were
I
stop
had
a party ripe.
Oh yeah, I hiked 4 days. Fifth day, I hiked zero. I took a complete zero on that Wednesday that it rained, so I timed that out perfect. And then I left Thursday and I had 30 miles to go. And so I hiked it between, I'm not going to give too much away from the videos, but I hiked that 30 miles in 2 days, got back to my truck on Friday night. So I didn't have to hike in the rain Saturday. Glad I carried all my rain gear with me, but
Yeah.
yeah.
How much body glide did you go through?
Quite a bit. I did, believe it or not, I lost 7 pounds.
What?
Yeah. 7 pounds.
I
And
found it. I found it. It's in my house. I found it.
My first 2 days, I was getting some leg cramps and stuff. And you've hiked with me long enough to know that I don't usually get cramps at all, but just the incredible uphills. And I wasn't drinking enough water when it's cold out, especially the first 2 days it was cold.
Yeah.
I just did not drink enough water. So then I kind of made it like starting day 3. I was like, I have to drink anywhere between 4 to 6 of these water bottles, the 750 milliliter water bottles. And that cured it. That with the Noon tablets or any kind of like electrolyte. So yeah.
Brought to you by Noon.
It was right. Brought to you by Noon. Not a sponsor, as Hoot says, right? They should be as much as I drank, but yeah, it was a great trip. I enjoyed it, and looking forward to going back next year and tackling the Smokies.
Sweet.
So I got some people that already said, "Hey, let's go. Let's do it." So,
Roboleg is here. Speaking of cramps,
he gets cramps between his ears. He does. I do too sometimes. But yeah. Fun times.
So there's been talk of possibly going with you next year. Well, if you do it. If not, we're going to do some other long hikes.
Yep. I'm definitely going to do a long hike next year. I've looked at the Foothills Trail. I've looked at the Laurel Highlands Trail. They're all right there in a 70 mile zone, which the Smokies is 74. So I'm looking to do like, that kind of range. Sounds like an easy hike. Since I have hiked 0.5 miles on them, so you know.
That's fantastic.
Perfect. But no, so Jeremy, I talked to him actually when I was out on trail and everything, and we're texting, and he said count him in next year if I do the Smokies.
Yeah.
Hoot said it, so
I may do it. I just got to train for it. If I get Albert,
I think so too.
Then I can do it.
If I do it next year, I think what I'm gonna do is slow myself down. And
I'll slow you down. You don't have to worry about that.
That's why I'm saying I'm going to bring you as an anchor. But no, it's 74 miles. So I'm thinking like 7 days, which I could roll through that and do, I know what I'm capable of now, which is I'm pretty impressed. There's people that hike way faster and way longer miles. But for me, I'm proud of myself for what I've accomplished. And
I'm proud of you too.
I just want to.
I joke around about it, but honestly, it is an accomplishment.
98 miles in 6 days, man. I was hoofing it, figured that math out. But, not tooting my own horn or anything. I just, I had a lot of fun. But 74 miles, 7 days, you're rolling like 10-mile days.
I can do a 10-mile.
That's so easy to do. I want to be able to get up and eat my breakfast, drink a cup of coffee, and roll out of camp at 9 or 9:30 and not feel bad about it. Because there was one day I literally got on trail at like 6:45 and hiked the first 45 minutes in the dark. And I got up on wait till you see, I think it's day 3. I think I might have sent you some pictures, but wait till you see some of the footage of I'm up on top of this mountain and it's just like a red line glow all the way across the ridge tops. It's just, the sun's coming alive, man. It was so worth getting up early that day. And ended up doing 21 miles that day. But crazy, I want to slow down. I want to slow down next year because that's my problem is I'm like, I can make it. I can go farther. And I'm very competitive, as you know, and even with myself. And I push myself too far. But I learned this year that, you know what, next year I'm going to schedule it back. I'm going to stick to a schedule and I'm going to not just hike and just roll. I'm going to stop and smell the roses a little bit more. So,
well, then I'm your guy next year.
Right. You're my rose smeller.
All right.
Tanya says I like to lollygag along the trail too much to do miles.
Should we get to our guests?
Yeah, enough about me. I'm boring.
Yeah, enough
Let's
about
get
you.
to our
10 minutes in already.
Right. Who's me? So, you want to introduce our guest? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Philip Beal from Adventurous Life. This is a guy that, I'll bring him in first. Let's just bring him in, and then we'll talk about how we met. And
get in here, Philip.
And boom.
Hey,
man.
I made it.
You made it. Yeah. So I was getting ready to tell everybody how we met. I was out on a training hike at Washington Jackson Forest, and I didn't know it was part of the Knobstone, but and you and a friend of yours were out the same day, and I think it was a cold day. It was a pretty cold day.
It was a very cold day.
Yeah, and we met. I was sitting on a log because I was exhausted because I had gone, probably 3 miles, and 0.3 miles. And you guys came walking. You guys came walking up, and it turns out we were all training for the same hike for Mount Elbert.
Yep.
Which is crazy because I just thought it was a crazy coincidence. And that's how I met Philip and his buddy Elton. And then we just been corresponding ever since. And actually, Philip is going to be one of the participants of the next try for Mount Elbert.
Yep.
He's going to be out there with me and with Jeremy. Jeremy's going as well. So welcome. Now that we know how we met. We thank you for coming on. And so what we'd like to do is just kind of find out who is Philip. And I'm just going to start out by saying what I do know about you. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay. You have been on a journey for 3 years, or you're on a 3-year journey.
Yep.
You are a husband, father, pastor. You're a multi-sport individual. You like kayaking, biking, or cycling, I should say, hiking, fishing and hunting too.
Fishing and hunting, kayaking. I don't know if you'd call it primitive camping, bushcraft camping.
You do that too?
Yeah, I don't like to bring a lighter. I like to, get the fire started the old-fashioned way. And,
really, like friction and
well, whatever. A little more primitive. I'll use the steel rods, but I sleep in a hammock typically when I'm doing that stuff.
Attaboy.
And so basically, if it's something out in the woods, I like doing it.
Now, have you been that way all your life? Have you been an outdoor person all your life, or or are you a latecomer like myself? Some
of it, like growing up, my dad was a fisherman. He did bass fishing tournaments, and he worked second shift, and so his time with us was on the weekends. And I'm sure that my memory isn't correct, but in my mind, we went fishing every weekend, all weekend long.
Right.
I'm sure that's not how it happened, but
right.
So I grew up, doing that. Hunting, I married into a hunting family, and so that's how that worked. I was asked numerous times, "Hey, why don't you?" And hiking, I've always liked being out in the woods and walking around, but
when you say hunting, what do you typically?
Deer is really the main thing. You're in the Midwest, you're hunting deer.
Right.
That's just how that works.
So no exotic hunts, no rhino or
no.
They don't have those in Indianapolis.
I would like to go bear hunting with a bow, but my family that I married into, they don't want to do that with a bow. They would rather do that with a rifle.
I'm kind of on their side on this one there, Philip.
Or a bow or a switch, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. I will do it just because I'm not a hunter, but I would hunt bear because I hate bears. So, I have this
right.
They're evil, but so
bears are evil. Where's this coming from? What? They're like just big fluffy raccoons.
No,
they just want your food. They don't want you.
Terrible devil creatures is what they are. So what's been your biggest buck that you've gotten, or bow or doe?
Well, the biggest thing that I do, if anybody follows me on Instagram, is ride a bike.
Right.
It's.
How'd you get started in that?
Well, growing up in Indiana, you live in a small town, and you end up wanting to go more than just down your road, and so you hop on a bike, and then you tell your mom you're going to your friend's house, and then 50 miles later you've traveled the whole county, and Then I got out of it, and then I got back into it, off and on throughout the years. And then I don't know, about 4 years ago, I decided I was going to get fit like I did every year, my adult life.
Me too.
And so I started riding on a more regular basis. But back to your question about bucks, Jackson, Washington, State Forestry,
Yeah.
Spurgeon. I public land hunt, and on that hill, when you park right there at Spurgeon, if you know that lake,
Yeah.
I've killed 3 big bucks, and I've never had any of them scored, but my father-in-law has his scored, and 120 to 140 would be the range that the bucks that I've killed on that hill. But I'm a meat hunter. That's just my biggest thing when it comes to hunting.
Don't waste.
Right. I mean, I've shot more does than anything. It's more about putting meat in the freezer than anything. But don't get me wrong. A big giant buck comes by, and it makes me smile a little more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I grew up hunting too, and the same thing. I would wait most of the year for a buck, and if I didn't get it, it's like, if I see a doe, she's going in the freezer.
So, so you say you don't score them, but like as far as point, don't they score them by point? I don't know how this.
Well,
points.
They measure all the points, how tall the tines are. So I've got a couple 10-pointers and an 8-pointer. If you want to go by just the total number of points, but they measure everything out, and then.
Really, Brian, this is your area. You should be asking these questions.
So they measure them by inches, by how many inches. There's a certain way they measure each tine and the beams and everything, and then they score it by like 120 to 140 is how many inches total points they would have. So 120 to 140 buck, that's a nice buck in anybody's book. They get them up to 170s, 180s and that's just huge. You're in the record books then, or at least the state records. So. Yeah, nice. 120, 140s. I'd be happy with a buck like that every year. Absolutely.
Very nice. So Philip, I know you. So let's talk a little bit about your 3-year war here.
3-year war.
Yeah. You've been trying to get fit. Or you have gotten fit? Because I've seen your before pictures. What would you say would be the biggest contributor to your weight loss as far as an activity? Would it be the biking?
Yeah, the biking is probably what I would call the foundation of my fitness. But it's just because I've never been a gym rat. I've never been a person who likes to go to the gym. And I can't say that now. I do actually like going to the gym now. But for me, my exercise had to be something that was fun. And I've always liked biking. And it just seemed like a perfect fit once I actually started to get fit. Like I said, my whole adult life I've been overweight, and my whole adult life I've said I'm going to get fit.
Do you mind if I show your before and after picture?
Please do, because people don't realize how.
Yeah, that's why I want to show it. Check this out, everybody. So this is off of his Instagram. Go follow him if you're not on Instagram. And let me share his before and after. So this is his before, and this is after. Dude, you're half the person you were.
Yeah. I've lost 60 pounds. I've gained a little bit back, but that's just because I've kind of been sitting around for a few months. I'm not being able to do very much, but
that's incredible. And we have our first question in here from Jeremy.
Okay.
What was your motivation for a lifestyle change?
Well, I wish that it was simple. I wish I could just tell you. All I know is that just one day it did actually click for me. Like I said, every year I said, I'm going to get fit this year. And every year I lost 10 to 20 pounds and found it very quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I found more even. And then I think part of what helped was my buddy Elton who I rode with quite a bit, one day he called me and said, "Hey, I got this crazy idea. I want to do something crazy. And you're the first person I thought if I was going to do something crazy, would you want to do this with me?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "But I haven't said it yet." I was like, "Hey, I'm in." He goes, "I want to climb Mount Elbert." And I said, "Okay, what's that?"
Right.
And he said, "It's a mountain in Colorado. It's a 14er." And I said, "Well, what's a 14er?" That tells you how much I knew about climbing.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and he said it means it's 14,000 feet. He goes, "It's the tallest peak in Colorado." And I said, "Oh, I thought Pikes Peak was," because Pikes Peak's the only one I really knew.
Right.
And so that was definitely a motivator for sure. I think another one was in 2020. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the news since then, but there was this pandemic that happened.
I heard about it briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really care where you fall down one way or another. I get along with everybody. But a couple people I knew died from it. One of them was in my class in high school, and he was overweight. That was really his big hang up. And my wife's a nurse, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
she talks all the time about how being overweight contributes to a lot of problems.
Yeah. The
So I think it was just a
comorbidity.
multitude of things that finally gave me enough motivation to lose the weight. I just Elton is fit. I mean, he is a fit guy. He's always been a gym rat. He's always worked out, and he wanted to do this crazy hike. And I said, "Okay." And I thought, I can't hold him back. This is his dream. I can't hold him back. I need to be as fit as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So-
and that's how I feel about Brian. I can't hold him back, but so I just let him go do his own thing.
You're my anchor, buddy.
Right. Well, it's interesting because when we had met and we were talked about that you were training for Elbert and I was training for Elbert, that I thought you knew more about it when I met you, and you probably had at that point. But I remember you sending me pictures on through Instagram about you guys getting up the mountain. Now, one thing I've always wanted to ask you about that. Why March? Why did you choose March?
Well, I didn't choose March. Elton did.
Chose March, right?
I think he just thought spring break would be a good time to go. I didn't know anything about any of it, so I just said, "Sure, whatever." And I have a Toyota FJ Cruiser, and it can get about anywhere. And I got that thing stuck in the snow. It was just sitting on axles, trying to get to a road that was closed to get to the trailhead that we wanted to go to. So we had to change things up before we scouted the day before and realized, all right, we got to find a different way up. And when we got to the parking lot, we planned to get there at dark before sunrise. We wanted to get hit early, and we wanted to beat the crowd.
Yeah.
The crowd of 0 people.
That's what I was going to ask. There's like nobody there.
There was no one there. And as we headed up the mountain, there was no tracks. No tracks.
Oh, you were breaking trail?
Yes. So I kind of got the idea pretty early that the locals thought it wasn't a good day to hike. But
yeah.
But I'm up for anything. So
good. Well,
went.
And you guys got pretty far.
We did.
For breaking trail, like 13.9?
13.8, I think is where we ended up.
That's you got like 500 feet more than I did on a good day.
Yeah.
Like I got to 13.3 before weather came in. Well, that's awesome. And so that's why you're kind of hankering to do it again, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got the bug for sure when I did that. I went back in the summer and went with my my daughter's boyfriend, Matt. I mapped out a trail where we get dropped off at Bierstead.
Mhm.
We hike up Bierstead, and we go from Bierstead to Mount Evans. But the only way to get there is across something called Sawtooth Ridge.
Yeah.
And then after we get up to Mount Evans, we hike back down and then go across Mount Spalding and then go back down to a lake over just off of Mount Evans. And that gave me a new bug of, I love the scrambles. I love that Sawtooth Ridge, those edges and the looking down and your fingers are gripped onto something. And if you slip, then it's only 1,000 foot.
Right.
No problem.
The good news is, after a certain height, it doesn't matter.
True.
It could have only been 100 foot. It would have killed me the same way. But
That's true.
But we did things as safe as we could. We took 4.5 hours just to get across Sawtooth. So we took our time.
Wow.
We took breaks. And once again, I took a guy that was fitter than me, and I took a guy who does rock climbing walls. He knows, he knows how to belay. He knows how to do all that stuff. We didn't bring any gear, but he knows, and so I've always luckily been around people who at least knew more about what was going on than me.
That's awesome. So you got all these bugs now, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the deal. So next year, it's not set in stone, but in my mind, it's set in stone. There's this mountain called Mount Everest. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Wait.
I'm not hiking the whole way up.
You're going to base camp?
Base camp?
I'm going to base camp.
Nice.
Base camp. I just think, I think that's about 18,000 something feet up. So,
gosh, that's incredible. That makes my wanting to get up Mount Whitney look like nothing.
That's my plan next year, is to do that. It's a 16-day trip. And so
that's incredible. I get there's a different kind of training for that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Than maybe just for a 14er. I mean, I'm sure there's
even the training for a 14er. I got something called an altitude training mask, and I call it the death mask because it's rough. The first time I put it on, I rode my bike. I thought, man, I'm just going to push myself hard on my bike with the training mask on. And right outside of my house is a hill. It's not a real big hill, but that's the way I always take off. And I get to the top of that hill and I can see stars everywhere. I realized I can't breathe. And so I had to pull it off. But what it does, I don't say it's an altitude training mask. It's a breathing training mask.
Right.
It teaches you to breathe slower, longer. And I think that, along with all the cardio I was doing on the bike, is what made it, even though Elton was fitter than I am, Matt was definitely fitter than I am. I mean, he's training for a triathlon right now. I had an easier time at high altitude than either of them did. And I think that was just trying to get my VO2 max up and focusing on just that one aspect of the altitude.
So that brings me to and Brian, feel free if I'm whatever questions you have.
I've got some questions, but keep it going. No, I'm learning a ton.
Because I know about VO2 max. Actually, I don't know if you know, I'm a nurse as well.
Okay, I did not know that.
So how has your VO2 max improved from the days when you weren't so fit to now? Like how high has it gone up?
Well, I've not done the official, where they put that thing on you, you get on a treadmill, you run and do all that. I've not done that, but I have a Garmin watch that gives you kind of an idea. It's saying that I'm around 44 is my VO2 max, which I would like to get it up higher. I'd like to get it up higher. If I could get it up to 50, that would be great. But it also says that I have the fitness level of a 22-year-old.
I was going to say, for your age, 44 is incredible.
And so,
I give up. Mine's never been that high. I've got mine right now is at 38. I thought I was doing good.
I feel like I feel like 44 was too low, but you guys are making me feel a little better.
No. So because when you have extra weight on you, your blood does not absorb as much oxygen. It can't move as much oxygen.
Right.
So when the weight comes down, that's how you're able to and the intense cardio and all that.
So you're saying all these years of being fat contributed to me having a great VO2 now. So I would encourage everyone to have a couple decades of being overweight and then drop
exactly
it.
What I'm saying.
And then you can go to any height.
Well, I'm saying the losing of it is what.
Oh, yeah, it definitely. I don't know that I could have done it with the weight.
Well, so I'm getting ready to find out.
Well, I can't say that I couldn't do it. It would not have been as easy.
Yeah.
It was definitely easier than I expected. And to say it was easier than I expected, if anyone is listening and they haven't done a 14er, there is no easy 14er.
No.
I mean, Bierstead is classified as an easy 14er. There is no easy 14er.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
That's like saying, well, I found this easy marathon to run. Well, that's great, but it's still 26.2 miles.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead,
I think
Brian.
my biggest climb this year was like I went from 1,600 feet to about 5,400. I mean, that's nothing compared to a 14er, and that was hard. So
yeah,
I couldn't imagine. But no, I was going to ask you. So we kind of bounced around about the 3-year war, Nat. Can you explain like what the 3-year war is and what it all encompasses?
Okay. Well, before I can explain that, I have to tell you about 75 hard because that's how it all started.
Okay.
So I'm losing weight and I'm doing pretty good. And then me and Celeste go on a cruise for a week. And on a cruise, you don't pay attention and they have great food. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise, but
I'm going this summer for the first time. Yeah. First time this year.
I love it and I recommend it highly. But anyway, so a week cruise, I come back and I gained 10 pounds. And that is like I can't remember if it was in late 2021 or early 2022. But I knew when I got back, I was like, I've got to figure something out, something serious to get me to continue to lose weight. And it just so happens, I do think it was January, now that I think about it, because I was listening to a podcast and this guy was talking about 75 hard and he was going to start at February 1st. And so I researched it and I said, oh, that does sound very hard. I'm going to do it. And what 75 hard is it's something that anyone can do for a day. Most people could do for a week. But what it is 2 45-minute workouts every day. And one of them has to be outside.
Nice.
And then living in Indiana and it being January, well, let's just say an outdoor 45-minute workout is not fun.
Right.
Then you have to drink a gallon of water every day. For me, I carry this thing around that lets me know when I've got a gallon. You have to read 10 pages of a book every day. And I'm currently back in 75 hard, and this is the book I'm reading right now, but it's 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take a progress picture of yourself every day.
Is that where your Instagram comes in? That's what you're doing.
Right,
there?
right. I always some people have their shirt off and do, for me, I'm probably never going to take a picture with my shirt off. That's just, I have pictures of me with my shirt off. I'm never going to post that stuff. But you have to take a picture of yourself every day so you can see the progress that you're doing.
Yeah.
And you have to be on some kind of diet, any kind of diet. You pick what diet you want to be on.
McDonald's. But
you cannot cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And no alcohol. I know you're thinking, oh, he's a pastor. That part's easy for him.
Oh, it must be rough.
I do drink on occasion. But but yeah, the no alcohol is not a big deal. The drinking the water was actually the hardest part for me.
Really?
To be honest, before I started 75 hard, I can think back to years where I would not have had a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
All my liquid would have been pop, juice, milk, no water. But you have to do all of these things every day for 75 days. If you fail any one of those at any aspect, you have to start over at day one.
I think
And
I want to do this.
So I managed to, well, I'm in the middle of doing 75 hard when we attempt Mount Elbert.
Yeah.
Mount Elbert only counts as one of my exercises. It doesn't count as both because there's
Even
no
though
stopping
it'll be
point.
multiple times, it'll be
And
like
so, I mean, some people were like, hey, you could put the climb up there as one of your exercises and the climb down as one, but
yeah,
that misses the whole spirit.
yeah.
And you can have both of your exercises outdoors, but the mandate is one of them has to be outdoors. So anyway, that day we did Mount Elbert, I thought I was going to lose because we started so early. We came back so late that once I got Elton back and got him warm again and made sure he was good and safe, I had to go do a 45-minute workout before I could go to bed. And
oh man.
So it's not easy. Okay. It's not easy. But after that, they have different phases of 75 hard, and they had phase 1, and that's 30 days. But then after phase 1, you had to take a mandatory 30-day break. It doesn't mean you can't work out, you can't do it, but you can't do the 75 hard program for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I knew enough of myself to know I needed something. I needed something long term.
Yeah.
And so I created 3 Years War. Just for myself. And what it is I call it 75 hard life. And I'm finding out today is day 300 of the 3 Years War. And I'm finding out that I've made it too easy. And what it is 1 hour of workout per day. You can split it up into 3 20 minutes. It can be one workout of an hour. What kind of workout can it be? It can be as simple as a walk. That's why anyone can truly do 75 hard.
Yeah.
If you do a walk for 45 minutes, that counts as one of them. Right now, because I'm injured, my shoulder and this thumb, they're still broken. I mean, they're healing, but they're broken. So jogging hurts this right now. Just this past weekend is when I've been allowed back on a bike. So that's incorporated. That's why I started back up on 75 hard. I couldn't really do much. But the 3 Years War is to keep me moving every day. I still incorporate the gallon of water every day. I put that you can read or listen to an audiobook, where 75 hard says no audiobooks. But the only downside to my 3 Years War is there's no accountability for if I fail. And the way I originally looked at it is, in a war, you don't win every battle.
Right.
You're going to lose some. But there's nothing that happens if I lose a day. And so I think at the 365-day mark, once in my year end, I'm going to try to figure out, okay, if I lose a day, maybe I have to do 2 hours of a workout the next day. Something that motivates me a little more to not lose. Because I can tell you right now, 75 hard, going back to day 1 is a huge motivator. I mean, if you're, I'm day 5 in right now. If I mess up and I start back at day 1, that's no big deal. But I was at day 46, January 28th, when I got in that bike wreck.
Yeah.
And broke my collarbone. And the hardest part for me was, here I am, a broken shoulder, a broken thumb.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how to get my second workout in. I'm like, can I still keep this going? Because I'm 46 days in and I do not want to start over.
What kind of
once the pain set in, it was like, okay, I've got to call it quits. I can't do it.
What kind of diet were you following with that? If you
Yeah,
don't mind me-
for me, I mean, and like I said, you can do whatever you want. For me, I do calorie counting.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's really about calories in versus calories out. And
Did you do any intermittent fasting with it at all, or?
I didn't. Now, I would go in times where I would eat my lunch or my dinner about 6, and then I get up about 4 in the morning. So
Gotcha.
that's about, as far as I would go. But for me, it was strictly just the calorie counting, and that allows me to still eat junk if I want. But the funny thing is, the fitter I get, like if I have a day where I eat junk all day, like when I was not doing 75 hard, but was still in the 3 years war, and I would just be willing to take a loss on a day because there's no accountability.
Yeah.
I'd go get a Baconator meal, and it would wreck me. Where before I could eat that for lunch and go again and eat it for dinner, and then if I wanted to eat a whole pizza for breakfast, for some reason, once you get fit, you can't eat that stuff like you used to. It just it wrecks me.
Yeah, you just feel bad.
It's moderation.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've gotten better about my diet and that, and going to the gym this last year, and lost some weight and got in really good shape. But man, like some days I'm like, we're out to eat. I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. But then I usually just feel sluggish or just really feel just, I don't know, like crap,
Right.
because that's what you're eating. And, but I really think I really like how that works. It's motivational. It keeps the accountability there. And that's one thing I've noticed in your Instagram post too, is you're posting every day. Today's battle was won.
Right.
I love that. Every time I see that, I just smile because that's a great motivational little tool.
That is me. That is me. And
I'd call this a win.
That's what motivates me as much as anything is the people out there that follow me. I know that was part of my deal is I need to post every day because if I have just one person hold me accountable, okay, that works a little. If I have 10 people holding me accountable, okay, that's more. Well, I have over 1,000 people following me, and they know I'm going to post. And if I don't post for a couple of days, people reach out and people start saying, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on?" And so it's a motivator to know that you're going to put it out there every day for the whole world to see.
And it speaks a lot to the consistency of your posting, and that's what really what it really takes to get in shape, stay in shape, and feel good is that consistency and that accountability. So I think it's great. That's one thing like I said, scrolling through, and I noticed, and when I found you a while back on Instagram and that, started following you, and it's like, man, this guy posts every day. Today's battle was won. He's on his journey and he's consistent, and that's what I've always learned. Like I said, with getting in shape and being healthy is consistency.
Right. It's got to be a lifestyle change. For the longest time, I looked at it as I need to lose weight, and then I can go back to myself. And it's really you got to change your life. It's got to be intentional.
See, I feel like I mean, you motivate me as well. And for a while there, I was doing consistent stuff on my vlog channel, and I was doing that every day. And I kind of learned that from your post. I wasn't calling it anything,
right?
But so just know that I'm out there watching you. Watching your posts. And it's motivating me. That's why I wanted to have you come on and explain kind of 75 hard. I know we chatted back and forth, and I was actually going to get the book and read through it as well. 10 pages a day. But I really, that's, like I said, you've inspired me, and I've got a lot of things that I want to do physically that I can't right now. And so I'm in the middle of the thing that the battle that you've already kind of won. And so I'm glad to have you on and have you explain it.
Well, I'm glad to be here to explain it. And like I said, it's opened up doors for me. I mean, I would have never been gravel bike racing. Now I you know, you see 2 jerseys behind me. One's for the
Yeah.
club that I'm a member of now, a cycling club, which would have been hilarious before, and the other is the bicycles that I ride and the team I ride for. It's just, it makes me smile. You know, here I am, 49, just now getting into racing on a bicycle. And I'm not going to podium, but for me, it's not about that. It's about challenging myself, seeing how much better I can get.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, being off the bike since January 28th when I wrecked until this past weekend, I've lost power, I've lost speed. But man, I'm not down about it.
Yeah,
I
you get
just
back to
got
it.
to get back on it and go again. I'm riding every day. I got off work a little bit early today because I knew we were doing this and I needed to get my workout in beforehand. So I got my early morning workout in. I rode my bike. Um, all my tasks are complete, and now I get to just hang out and chat with you guys, man.
So then let's see. So then you'll post today's battle was one after this, right?
Yep. Normally I try to post at about eight
Yeah.
to 9.
Yeah.
That way I don't cheat. You know, I can't post that I won and then go eat a whole pizza later.
Right.
Good point, Lambo. Consistently good beats occasionally great every day. That's
Yeah.
another person. I don't know if you probably never met or heard Lambo. Robbie's his name, but super fit guy as well. Definitely, he's out there running races on the knobstone and stuff too. But
Yeah, like ultras.
yeah,
Wow.
that's the one thing
Yeah.
I've learned, and that's one thing I've picked up from your Instagram, and that is just it's consistency, and that's what I've learned too. Like I said, getting in shape, it's consistent diet, consistent exercise, and holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And I mean, that's why I created that adventure, an adventurous life. And there's so much out there to do. There's just so much. Like I didn't know about going up 14ers until a couple years ago. I didn't know gravel bike racing was a thing until last year. And then now I'm a gravel bike racer. I'd never really ran until last year. I started running some. And I'm going to run a half marathon in Nebraska. And the next day I've got to do a 75-mile gravel bike race. And then I leave from there.
You got David Goggins over here.
I leave from there to go to Colorado to climb Mount Elbert.
Oh, you're doing that before Elbert?
Yeah, the weekend before we go, I'm doing all that, and then I'm driving to Colorado.
Dude, you're gonna have no time to acclimate.
Oh, I'll be fine.
Okay.
He'll be fine. Did you just hear what he's going to do?
I'm going to be staying a whole week before. It's the weekend before. So this is the last weekend in August. And then we're going to stay at Leadville. We're staying at the highest place we can.
Yeah. I'll be at if I can be at the trailhead all week.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's my plan right now. That's all I've planned out so far. Is staying there because I've stayed in the Leadville hostel before, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I have no other plan.
I'll tell you, if you're ever interested in looking for a pretty challenging half marathon, I ran one. The only one I've ever ran was the Rugged Red in the Red River Gorge in Kentucky.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That was tough. I was like, first half marathon. Yeah, let's just run it like through the mountains.
I'm not going to get into marathon running and all that. I mean, I'll ride my bike forever. I got on my bike one day. I like finding different challenges. And there's this 12-hour walk challenge. I don't know if you've heard of it, where you're just supposed to get out and just walk for 12 hours straight. And I thought, well, I'll just ride my bike for 12 hours. Yeah. And I rode 152 miles, and it was
a 12-hour walk.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that on a hike before.
Right.
But
the thing is, you can't have any, you can't have earbuds in, no music, it's just you with your thoughts. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm out right because my thoughts.
I tell you, that'll get in your head. That this year was the first year I've hiked solo before, shorter hikes and did overnighters, but all but 11 miles of this 98 miles I just hiked on the AT, I was by myself.
Oof.
and it was different. You'll see you guys will see in one of the videos coming up. Like I was laughing at myself, and I talked about it because literally just walking one morning, I seen these birds sitting on a log, and I was like, well, "Good morning, birdies!" And then I stopped. I was like, "Did I really just say that out loud? I'm losing my mind." I told the birds good morning. It's like I've been by myself way too long. But 12 hours by yourself, yeah, I've done that. You get in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
Talking about the bike, so you're gravel racing and that. Did you start out mountain bike racing or just road riding?
Well, I never started out racing anything. I road ride
Mm-hmm.
my whole life. I've ridden on the road. I got in a bike wreck when I was 15 and ripped half of my face off. And I mean, I
Yikes.
got in a bad wreck. I don't even to this day know what happened. But I was always I mean, we called them 10 speeds back then. We didn't call them road
Yeah.
bikes, but we'd ride all over town, ride all over the county and stuff. And then
So
when Elton reached out to me, this is how me and Elton, I went to college with Elton doing business many years ago, Indiana Wesleyan. And,
I went
Mhm.
there.
and then we just followed each other on Facebook, and he saw I was riding again back in 2018. And he just reached out on a Facebook message and said, "Hey, I see that you're riding. How about coming out and riding, and maybe we'll do an event or two?" I thought, man, I don't know about doing any events, but we went out and started riding, and we became fast friends. And he's today one of my closest friends. But we did a couple of event rides, which aren't really races; they're just 50-mile rides that different organizations put on for different reasons. And so a couple of those, they do what they call chip riding, where they put a chip on your bike so that
Mm-hmm.
they can track you. Those are more like races. And so I guess I did a few of those, but really I was fine doing that. I had no interest in racing. And then I'm friends with the people that work at STS, and I see the bikes they're building, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And then there was just this one bike they posted, and it just, I don't know, it struck me. And I said, man, that looks pretty good. And they said, well, why don't you come to Michigan with me? We'll let you ride one of our bikes and you can do a race. And so I did something called the Dirty 30. And I'm on a gravel bike that's not my own, and I've not rode before. And so I'm just trucking along, and I go down this first big hill on gravel. And I used to pedaling downhill because you can get the best speed. And I look down, and my bike computer says I'm doing 40 mile an hour.
Oh,
And I can feel that the tires no longer have grip on the gravel, and I'm just kind of floating. So I quit pedaling, but you can't hit the brakes at that speed.
right.
So I called it straight line drifting down that hill, and and I think that's the moment I fell in love with it. And so I had them build me a custom bike, and did all these crazy races. Met a lot of great people, and that's a great thing about whether you're hiking or mountain climbing or racing. There's all of these great communities that people just don't know about.
Yeah.
And so with
Right.
this, I met a guy, Matt Tanner, right? And he's the roll fast guy, the guy that I'm a cycling club with. So I met him through STS and through gravel racing, and he's the one that he's created this new supplement called Straight Fuel, and it's what I use to drink on these long rides. It's it's so much better than Gatorade. I can't drink Gatorade all day on a hike, or all day on a 100-mile bike ride. It makes me feel bloated and stuff.
Yeah.
And this stuff, it's something different. But I wouldn't have ever found any of that if it wasn't for just. And that's what I hope that people get from just my Instagram is just get out there, find things. You don't know what you're going to like and what you're not. Maybe
true.
you try
Right.
something and you hate it, but man, there's so many things that I didn't know anything about, and I love it now. And that's why I say, if someone hits me up and says, "Hey, let's go pet sharks," or "Hey, let's go ride some lions in Africa," I'm up for whatever.
You never know.
You only live once in this life, and you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
You ever doing your at Griffin Bike Park?
No, I haven't. I've done some different types of riding. I have a mountain bike, and I do some mountain biking. I've not done any mountain bike racing. I have a couple friends that do that. I'm going to try to get into one this year, although with my shoulder,
Yeah.
I may lax on that. There's also something called cyclocross, which is basically obstacle course on a bike. And sometimes you're carrying the bike and jumping over, these little beam things. And I want to try that. There's something called crit racing. I did one last year and I got dead last. So, but it was so fun. It's basically NASCAR on a bicycle. You bump people. You guys are in a tight group. There's crashes. It's pretty hairy, but it was fun. And I don't know that I'll do it again. But man, just so many things out there that you just don't know.
Life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great attitude to have, honestly. Go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't know if you'd ever been out mountain biking. Have you done any of the trails at Brown County?
I've done not in Brown County State Park, but there's a couple of mountain bike trails just outside of the park. I've done a few of those. There's a place called Town Run, north side of Indianapolis. It's just outside of the loop. You actually go under 465 a part of it. That's my main one I hit because up until a month ago, I mean, yes, I'm a pastor, but I'm a bivocational pastor. So my real job during the week is I work construction, right? I'm a construction plumber. And until about a month ago, and they moved me into the office. But before I had a work van and I would throw my mountain bike in there. And on the way home, I could just stop by on 96th Street right there, hit Town Run, do a lap, and then go home.
Nice.
And so I enjoy it. It's just something I haven't got into the racing aspect of it.
Right. Yeah, I mountain biked before I got into hiking, and I would go to Brown County or down to Versailles State Park. I lived in Versailles at the time, so it was right there, and they've got a lot of good trails as well. But that's about my extent of bike riding, except for as a kid,
Right. And I guess at this point, I do need to say something here. This might get on my soapbox and do my public service announcement. But in the woods, there are these people called hikers. There are also these people called hunters. Yeah. There's also these people called mountain bikers. And for some weird reason, and I can fall into the same trap. If I'm hiking and there's mountain bikers, I'm like, what are they doing here? And if I see a hunter, I'm like, oh, what is going on? Why are they hunting so close to the man? Anyone that's out in the woods trying to enjoy it, let them enjoy it and enjoy it. Absolutely. Don't let them ruin your hike, your bike ride, your hunt, man. Just be thankful that there are so many people out there enjoying the outdoors in so many different ways.
I will offer one caveat to that. Let them enjoy it unless they're littering and leaving their trash.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I can't handle that.
About the
cannot handle that.
Yeah, cannot abide.
Unfortunately, we found some yucky stuff lately out the Dean, but
I love that area where you guys go. That's usually where I do my primitive camping. I like to go off the trail a little bit and just me and a buddy of mine, Brian Woolsey, will set up a couple of hammocks and just live off. The first time I did it, I didn't know anything about it either, but my friend Brian Woolsey, he knew all about it. So I tried it. You ever watch this show called Alone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I tried to do that. I tried to not bring any food, and I was going to live off the land. And it was February, so there was no fishing. Like that wasn't happening. Nothing's really growing. So the only thing I could find was wild onions, and so I had wild onion soup. So for 3 days, I had about 50 calories worth of wild onion soup. And when I left there, I stopped at Taco Bell and got 3 5-layer burritos.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
I mean, unless you're chasing a squirrel trying to tackle it, that's all that's out there.
There was a frog that was right by this little stream that we were staying by, where we were getting our water from. And if we'd have stayed one more day, I might have had some frog legs.
I need protein.
Yeah. Right. That's hilarious.
That is fantastic.
What else you got? You got anything else, Chris?
I was just gonna. So one thing we didn't hit on, and I don't see a lot of in your Instagram, and we'll end with this, is the kayaking aspect. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the kayaking is something I've enjoyed doing. I don't do it near like I want. I own a 2-person kayak. It's a fishing kayak, which I've never fished out of it. And really what it is it gives me and my wife a chance to go. She likes hiking too, and me and her will go hiking. And we like kayaking. We just don't do it enough. So for her birthday last year was the last time we did it. It was her birthday. You pick what you want to do. Let's go kayaking. And man, we kayaked for 12 miles down Blue River, and
nice.
man, it's just fun. It's just once again, if you can get outside, just get out of your house and do something. Yeah. And you don't know what you're going to like and what you're not, but there's so much.
Why limit yourself? I say that, why limit yourself? But then when Brian's like, hey man, let's go do 70 miles. And I'm like, nope. But
know your limitations.
Yeah. And know your limitations while not limiting yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, man. I'm really glad we had you on, and I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface of a lot of this stuff. But now, am I correct? You are going to be able to make it to the meetup in April?
I don't think I'm going to be camping there. Okay. But it's not very far from my house, and so I plan on coming like that Saturday and hanging out.
Just hang out, and that'd be great. All right. Well, Brian, do you have anything else? Does anybody have any questions? I just want to say,
if anybody has any questions, throw them up real quick. But it's been great talking to you and finally meeting you almost face to face, and hopefully we can meet, in person at the meetup and that. But I just look forward more to your posts. Like I said, I really like the accountability and the consistency and the motivation that you bring to, if the message you're putting out, the positive one that you're putting out, just helps one person, right? That's what we always say. If we can just get to one person, if you can take your journey and share it and help one person, today's battle is won, right? So I love that message. I see it all the time. Really, there's Philip doing it again.
Well, it's really just me saying, and that's why occasionally you'll see me post a before and after, because people will go 100 posts down and see me looking like this, and I'm not busy. I'm not. I still got some work to do, but I am much better than I was. Yeah. But so I'll post it before and after so that people know, no, I really spent most of my life not looking like this and not moving around, and you can do it. Yeah. It's just not easy. It takes effort, but I promise you can do it.
Yeah. So along those lines, make sure everybody go follow him on Instagram. It's an Adventurous Life. This is his logo, and this is what his. And if you want daily motivation, go follow Philip and tell him old CNC sent you. All right. Well, thanks so much. I'm going to put you in the green room. We're going to close, but and we'll come back and talk to you after.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Oops.
Awesome, man. Super, super nice guy. Like, I'm so glad we had him on because, like I said, you always see at least I do, and everybody that follows him sees his posts, and it's the consistency. That's what you hear all the time with it's a diet or where you're wanting to learn a new hobby or play an instrument, whatever. It's practice, consistency. So
I feel like
cheers to him.
I feel like you're talking to me about that. I feel like you're looking into my soul when you're
I'm looking into your soul. Did you hear what he has to say, Chris? You can do it too. Everybody can do it. You can do it
in an intelligent way, and putting it into practice are two different things.
It's taking that first.
I know these things.
What did he say? Take that first step, right?
Yeah.
Tanya says, "Dang, I'm back and it's over." But what a inspirational person. I love it. We did something serious. This wasn't like me just making fun of you or you making fun of me the whole time. Just part of the time.
I'll be excited.
There's more time for that.
I'll be excited to when we get up on the summit of Mount Elbert, because that will be first time for me and it'll be first time for him. And that'll be I plan on taking a picture with him up the top, and that'll be a fun picture to post on Instagram.
I climbed Mount Elbert. You got to climb Elbert. Yeah, I did Albert. You got to do Elbert.
Mount Elbert, Albert Mountain. All right, where can people find you, Carlson?
So you can find me on YouTube at Carlson Adventures, Carlson_Adventures on Instagram, Facebook, Carlson Adventures. Find me
Yeah.
Campfires, Catholes. Work most of the days, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Spotify, Amazon, Apple. We're all over the place. We're
Grindr, wherever. Yeah.
we're like just bad Chinese food or something. You find us all over the place.
Yep. And
Where
then
can
you
we
can
find you,
me.
Chris?
Well, thank you for
Buffet?
asking. You can find me at the Hidden Guy, blah blah blah, TikTok, Instagram,
You got TikTok?
Chris Colbert Vlogs, and you can find us both on April 28th at the Charles C. Dean Wilderness at Blackwell Horse Camp for the Indiana Outdoor YouTubers Meetup, and it's going to be big. And it's going to be
It
fun,
is.
and there's going to be a giveaway, and there's going to
And
be
we're gonna have superstars like Tanya Browning and
Tanya Browning
Keel
and
Quest,
Quest.
Hoosier
and Tony,
Outdoor.
yeah, Tony Toeny.
Oh,
Tony
you
the
better
Tiger.
close on that.
I know. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we appreciate you all showing up. And remember to get out there and explore. Leave it better than you found it. Blah blah blah.
Peace.